Disability advocacy groups are calling on all levels of government to make sure the Commonwealth's $15 billion infrastructure plan creates jobs for people with disabilities. The National Disability Service wants to see social procurement initiatives, as 1/4 of people on JobSeeker are people with illnesses and disabilities. Mark Gallotta is a welder. He was injured in a car accident when he was 22. He's now 35 and uses a wheelchair. He'd like to get to work on some of the projects the federal government is fast-tracking, and he joins me now from Victoria. Mark, appreciate your time this afternoon. First of all, I guess, in terms of work, how's the COVID pandemic affected you?
Well, the COVID pandemic has affected me and the people I work with we used to have about 75, 80 people employed each day, and our number's down to about 25 at the moment. So it's really limited our work capacity and work coming in.
Yeah, so I understand you are, luckily enough, still working. You're not on JobSeeker, but you are classed as underemployed. What have you been the biggest challenges getting full-time work?
Well, I've worked at a couple of open employment places, and a lot of the time they don't have the support or structure to help someone with a disability to do the job. They just expect you to be able to do it and go about your day as you would normally.
Is there a lot of competition for jobs at the moment?
Oh, definitely. On my resume, I don't put that I'm in a wheelchair on my cover letter, but I cover it over my resume. Because if you put it on your cover letter, you're just basically going to get stonewalled.
That's obviously, incredibly frustrating, to deal with that potential discrimination. What are some of the other sort of misconceptions you have to deal with in terms of what you can and can't do at work? I can imagine you can do pretty much everything.
Well, due to my accident, I suffered 10 bleeds. One of those bleeds caused a hemorrhage, so I've got a stroke on my left side. So that's another thing that I have to work my way around. But I'm back. I got back into welding in about 2014, I think, and had a couple of open employment positions, but nothing that lasted much longer than 2 years. I got made redundant a couple of times, and just my disability in general, really. Being in a wheelchair makes it a bit harder to get around the workplace, but with open pathways and stuff like we have at Ability Works, you're able to do what you have to do to get the jobs done.
Yeah, so the federal government obviously announced this huge infrastructure spend as part of the budget to try to get its way out of the coronavirus pandemic. What would you like to see the government do? Could they potentially help you secure full-time employment?
Well, one thing that the government could really do to help out Ability Works is to find a new potential site so we can grow as a company. To be able to employ more people with disabilities, and that could happen from the government. Yeah,
it'd be great to be involved in some of those infrastructure projects, I guess. Mark, are you still holding out hope and confident that you will end up with a full-time job, sort of as we move out of the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, it's something I'd like to secure. If it's possible at the moment, I'm not sure. But if there was to be more welding work come into Ability Works, it's definitely something that they would look at.
All right, Mark. Well, we wish you the best of luck with it. Hopefully you can find some employment moving forward. We appreciate your time today.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
That's Mark Gallotta. He's a welder who was injured in a car accident around 13 years ago, and he's hoping to get some work on some of the projects that the federal government is fast-tracking as part of that infrastructure spend involved in the federal budget.